The triple hit: taxes, Social Security, Medicare. Let's stack the mechanics so you can see exactly where the money leaks. Part 1, taxes. When spouse dies, filing status shifts to single the next full tax year. Same IRA, same pension, same interest, but those dollars now flow through narrower brackets. If your joint taxable income fit comfortably near the top of the 12% or 22% range, compressing into single can push part of that same income into 22% or 24% without any lifestyle change. RMDs don't care about your filing status. They're calculated on last year's December 31st balances and the IRS life expectancy table. Markets rise, divisors shrink, and the required number grows. So even with one fewer Social Security check, the forced income can climb and get taxed at higher marginal rates solely because the bracket's squeezed. Part 2, Social Security taxation. The combined income formula is simple: AGI plus non-taxable interest plus half your benefit. But the thresholds are stuck in time. As a couple, many hover near the 32,000 or 44,000 lines. As a single survivor, the lines collapse to 25,000 and 34,000. Keep a larger survivor benefit, add even a modest RMD, and you're often thrust into the up to 85% taxable zone. Important nuance: up to 85% isn't a smooth ramp for many. Once you cross, the effective marginal rate on each additional dollar rises because that dollar drags more of your benefit into taxation. That's the torpedo effect. Practically, the survivor's net check feels smaller not because SSA cut it, but because the tax return pulled more of it into income. Part 3, Medicare IRMAA. Medicare prices Parts B and D based on modified adjusted gross income from 2 years prior. In 2026, the first surcharge hits single filers above $109,000. Joint filers get $218,000. That's the quiet having most people miss. Nudge over a bracket, even by $1, and the monthly bill jumps for the entire year. There's no extra coverage, just an income index surcharge. And because IRMAA reads your return on a delay, today's decisions forecast premiums 2 years from now. A perfectly normal RMD, a capital gain from rebalancing, or a one-time Roth conversion done without checking the line can trigger letters long after the funeral when you thought the dust had settled. Here's a quick micro story so you can feel the stack. A couple, Carol and James, lived on 2 Social Security checks totaling $54,000 and modest RMDs of $22,000. Joint, their combined income kept them near the 50% Social Security taxation zone and safely below IRMAA. James passes. Carol keeps the higher check, say $36,000, and her own RMD continues. Filing single, half the benefit adds $18,000 to combined income before counting the full RMD. That alone can shove her past $34,000, making up to 85% of her benefit taxable. Her marginal rate jumps because more benefit becomes taxable as each dollar lands. The next year, markets lift her IRA value, and the required withdrawal ticks up. 2 years later, Medicare reads those returns and bumps her Part B and D premiums into the first IRMAA tier. She didn't earn more. The system remeasured the same buckets. So how does this stack to the scary $120,000 headline over a decade? Think layers, taxes, a few thousand more per year from bracket compression and the Social Security torpedo, especially in years with rising RMDs, Medicare, $1,000 to $2,500 a year in surcharges when a bracket is crossed, sometimes more if multiple tiers are triggered over time. Add 10 years, add routine COLAs that raise your benefit, and ironically your combined income, add market growth that swells RMDs, and the math grows. It's not one dramatic event. It's steady drip plus occasional cliffs. Now here's where most people mess up. They track taxes and premiums separately. You need to see them as one line item called avoidable leakage. A single dollar of extra AGI can hit 3 places. It's taxed, it can pull more of your Social Security into tax, and it can threaten an IRMAA line 2 years out. That's why planning by calendar year alone fails. The game is multi-year. What do you control? You can't control the survivor rules, but you can control what shows up as AGI. And when. That means mapping RMD trajectories, deciding whether to smooth income earlier while filing jointly, setting guardrails just under IRMAA lines, and using tools that satisfy rules without inflating AGI. We'll build your scorecard next, so you can see your exposure in one view and know exactly which levers to pull before those letters arrive. Your widow's penalty scorecard. Let's put your situation on one page. Grab a notepad or spreadsheet. Across the top, right. Income sources, combined income, AGI guardrails, IRMAA, bracket check. 3-year view, 10-year view, actions. First, list every account and income stream. Under RMD sources, list each traditional IRA. For 01K, for 03B, note the 12/31 balance and the coming year's required minimum distribution estimate. Add pensions, brokerage dividends / interest, annuities taxable portion, rental income, and any side income. In a separate row, list Social Security for both of you today and circle the larger check. That's the likely survivor benefit. Second, estimate. Survivor income. Assume one Social Security check stops and the survivor keeps the larger benefit. Write that annual number. Then add survivor RMDs from your list, pensions that continue, annuity income, dividends / interest, any part-time work. This is your baseline survivor cash flow before taxes and premiums. Third, run combined income, the way the IRS does for Social Security taxation. AGI plus non-taxable interest plus 50% of Social Security. For the survivor, have the survivor benefit and add it to projected AGI items, RMDs, pension, interest, dividends, plus any municipal bond interest. Compare the result to the single thresholds, $25,000 and $34,000. If you're over $34,000, assume up to 85% of the survivor benefit will be taxable. Mark this box red. Between $25,000 and $1 and $34,000, mark yellow. Below $25,000, mark green. Fourth, place your result against IRMAA brackets for single status using the 2-year lookback. For 2026, the first single threshold is $109,000 of modified AGI. Write the first 2 lines, $109,000 and $137,000. Then note your projected survivor magi. If you're within $5,000 of a line, mark it orange. If you cross it, mark red. Remember, a single dollar over the line triggers a full year surcharge for Part B and Part D 2 years later. Fifth, project a 3-year slope. Use conservative assumptions, 2 to 3% Social Security COLA, modest portfolio growth that nudges RMDs higher as divisors shrink. Fill 3 columns. Year 1, the first full single filing year. Year 2, year 3. For each year, estimate survivor magi, combined income, and whether you cross Social Security taxation and IRMAA lines. Highlight the first at-risk year. This is your letters arrive window. Sixth, sketch a 10-year horizon. You don't need precision, you need slope. List ages, expected RMD growth, and any inherited IRA timeline if applicable. If non-spouse heirs will face the 10-year rule, note which year big distributions might hit and whether that overlaps with the survivor's single status. This is the tax torpedo zone that often appears in years 8 to 10 if distributions were delayed. Seventh, add simple guardrails. Write 2 numbers in bold. AGI cap, the line that keeps you below the next IRMAA tier, and bracket top, the top of your current favorable tax bracket. These become your annual target lanes. If your projection overshoots the AGI cap by less than $5,000, consider minor pulls to land under it. If it overshoots by more, plan structural moves. Eighth, capture quick levers under actions. Examples: withholding tune-up, shift to appropriate survivor status. Income smoothing while filing jointly, partial Roth conversions up to bracket top without crossing IRMAA. Qualified Charitable Distributions QCDs, from IRAs to satisfy RMDs without raising AGI. Withdrawal order tweaks, taxable first, then tax deferred. Reserve Roth for flexibility and IRMAA control. Deduction bunching. Align big withdrawals with medical or charitable deductions. IRMAA timing awareness. Avoid one-year spikes 2 years before Medicare adjustments. Ninth, schedule a 30-minute pre-birthday pre-check each year. Update balances, recalc RMDs, refresh COLA, and rerun your 3-year and 10-year slope. Ask, are we under our AGI cap? Do we have bracket room to convert? Did any one-time events appear that threaten IRMAA? Finally, test a scenario. If the survivor is within $3,000 of the $109,000 IRMAA line, could a QCD, shifting a sale, or using cash reserves keep Magi under? If combined income is barely above $34,000, can moving $500 of non-taxable interest off the return or trimming a distribution tilt you back? Small dials, big outcomes. Once you see your slope and guardrails, the path to flattening the penalty is clear. Next, we'll time moves while you're both here to reduce forced income later. Timing moves while you're both here. This is where you buy the survivor breathing room. By reshaping income while you still have joint brackets, 2 standard deductions, and the wider IRMAA thresholds. Think of it as smoothing the hill now, so future you doesn't hit a wall. Start with income smoothing. Look ahead 3 years and spot your low-income windows, maybe the gap between retirement and claiming Social Security, or a year with unusually high deductions. In those softer years, pull controlled withdrawals from tax-deferred accounts on purpose. The goal isn't to pay more tax. It's to move dollars from future single brackets into today's joint brackets at known lower rates. If your projection shows you idling below the top of the 12% or 22% bracket, harvest just enough to fill that bracket without spilling into the next. That reduces the base your required minimum distributions are calculated on later. Now, the bracket-filling Roth conversion. Same idea, different destination. Convert a slice of traditional IRA to Roth each year while filing jointly. Use 2 guardrails, your tax bracket top and the IRMAA thresholds for joint filers for 2026 planning. The first joint IRMAA line is $218,000 of Magi with a 2-year look back. Pick the lower of those ceilings and convert right up to it. You're trading a small, planned tax today for no RMDs on those dollars later, plus a survivor who can tap Roth without raising Magi that might trip Social Security taxation or IRMAA. This is especially powerful between ages 63 and 65 because conversions today influence Medicare premiums 2 years from now. Plan your amounts so future Magi stays under the next IRMAA tier. Sequence matters. If you have a taxable brokerage account, spend there first in early retirement, especially highly taxed interest. Realize capital gains deliberately in low-income years, keeping your Magi below your chosen guardrail. Then trim the tax-deferred base with conversions. The combination lowers future RMDs, shrinks the Social Security tax torpedo risk for the survivor, and gives you a bigger Roth cushion for flexibility. Don't overlook the senior deduction window. Beginning in 2025, those 65 plus get an additional senior deduction layered on top of the standard deduction, and the age 65 add-on, subject to phase-outs. That extra cushion can absorb part of a planned withdrawal or conversion you do while both are alive. It won't erase the widow's penalty, but it softens the tax on the moves that prevent it. Build a withholding strategy. so you're never penalized for doing the right thing. If you convert or withdraw, bump federal withholding on the transaction, or increase withholding on a pension, so you're safe harbored. Withholding is treated as paid evenly through the year, which helps avoid underpayment penalties even if you act late. For couples, align both spouses' withholdings to the year's plan. Now, the IRMAA dance. Because Medicare reads tax returns on a 2-year delay, map conversions with a calendar in hand. If you'll be 65 in 2028, your 2026 Magi is under the microscope. That means 2026 conversions should end comfortably below your chosen IRMAA line for joint filers. If you're already on Medicare, use smaller, stair-stepped conversions that stay under the next tier, rather than one big leap that triggers a full year of surcharges. Charitable. There's a cleaner route that doesn't require itemizing. Once either of you is 70 and a half, use Qualified Charitable Distributions directly from IRAs. QCDs satisfy RMDs, but don't increase AGI, which means they don't raise combined income for Social Security taxation or IRMAA risk. Turn your annual giving into a tax shield during joint years to protect the survivor later. We'll go deeper on QCDs next, but flag it now as an anchor tactic. Coordinate Social Security timing with your tax plan. Often, delaying the higher earner's benefit to age 70 raises the survivor benefit for life and creates more low-income runway in the 60s to do Roth conversions at favorable rates. Meanwhile, the lower earner might claim earlier to support cash flow while you execute the plan. The combo boosts the survivor's guaranteed income while lowering future forced income. Add a 1-year cash buffer. Park 6 to 12 months of expenses in cash or short-term treasuries. This buffer prevents panic withdrawals in down markets or unplanned sales that push Magi over an IRMAA line. It also lets the survivor avoid tapping tax-deferred accounts in a year that's already full. Finally, memorialize guardrails. On a single page, write our bracket top, our AGI cap just below the next IRMAA tier, and our annual conversion target range. Recheck each fall with current RMD estimates and the coming year's thresholds. When life happens, inheritances, home sales, big gains, ask one question before you act. Where does this land against our guardrails now and 2 years from now? That habit alone saves thousands. The system measures, therefore you plan. Smooth income in joint years. Convert in slices below IRMAA lines. Spend taxable first. Trim the RMD base. And use the senior deduction and smart withholding as cushions. You're not gaming the rules. You're pacing the income so the survivor isn't ambushed later. Donation that dodges the penalty. If giving matters to you, here's the cleanest way to turn generosity into a shield for the survivor. Qualified Charitable Distributions. A QCD lets anyone age 70 and a half or older send money directly from an IRA to a qualified charity. That transfer counts toward your required minimum distribution, but it never lands in adjusted gross income. Translation: you meet the RMD rule without inflating AGI, combined income, or IRMAA risk. Why this matters? Remember the triple hit: AGI feeds Social Security taxation and Medicare's look back. A normal RMD adds to AGI. A QCD doesn't. So every dollar you route as a QCD is a dollar that can't push more of your Social Security into the taxable zone or nudge you over a $109,000 single IRMAA line 2 years later.